Good morning, everyone. We are from Week 10 Group, and today we would like to present a topic based on the journal titled Translation Methods in Political Speeches, a case study of English translation of President Joko Widodo's inaugural address. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Kar Arum, and I will serve as the coordinator for this presentation. Here are my team members.
My name is Siska Yusayaningrum.
My name is Fitriatu Zahra.
I'm Eka Shifa Febriani.
I'm Jian Hadiati.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Syarif Datullah, and this one.
Vika Octaviana.
In this presentation, we will discuss the journal in detail, covering the following parts: abstract, introduction, and then translating political speech, methodology, analysis and discussion. And in analysis and discussion, there are semantic translation method, communicative translation method, and discussion. And the last one, there are conclusion. Please watch this video until the end to fully understand our presentation.
Okay, abstract. The first point, challenges in translating political speeches due to the uniqueness of the text. Translating political speeches presents its own challenges and difficulties because political speeches are considered a type of text that has unique features compared to other type of text. In addition, the translation of political speeches is still regarded as under research in translation studies, which make it an area requiring special attention. Next is the research use qualitative method and the concept of New Marx translation method in 1988. This research applies a qualitative method with a comparative conceptual approach in conducting the analysis. The researcher used the concept of translation methods proposed by Newmark in 1988 as the theoretical basis of examining the translation of the political speech. Next is found the main methods: semantic translation and communicative translation. The findings showed that the two main translation methods used in translating the inaugural speech are semantic translation and communicative translation. The semantic translation method is the most dominant, followed by the communicative translation method. The last is semantic for the body of the speech, communicative for the opening and closing. Okay, the semantic translation method was applied to translate the body part of the speech, while the communicative translation method was used to translate the opening and closing part of the speech. These two methods are considered appropriate for translating political speeches.
In the introduction section, the author explains that translating is actually not as simple as changing words from one language to another. Sometimes a translator needs to understand the culture, rules, and even the social context of the text being translated. For example, when translating a legal text, the translator must first understand the legal system of the two different countries. So, sometimes they need to do more research, consult with experts, or learn specific terms. The author also emphasized that translation is not only about language, but also about cross-cultural communication. This means the translator needs to understand the meaning and context behind the original text. After that, the author focuses on the type of text discussed in this journal, which is political speeches. Political speeches are considered unique because they can have various purposes, such as influencing the public, giving instructions, or delivering government policies. Several experts also mention that political speeches are usually prepared formally and delivered in official events. In Indonesian, political speeches are generally delivered in Indonesian, but they are often translated into English for international purposes. This is where many challenges appear, such as cultural or religious elements, expressions or traditions that are unique to Indonesian, or speeches that cover very broad topics. All of this make translating political speeches quite complicated. In the last part of the introduction, the author explains the purpose of this research. The study aims to find out which translation methods are used and which ones are most suitable for translating political speeches. The data analyzed is the 2014 inauguration speech of President Joko Widodo, which was originally written in Indonesian and then translated into English by a professional translator from Australia. The author used Neumark's translation theory as the basis of the analysis. The author also highlights the main point of this introduction. Translating political speeches is not only about changing the language, but also about preserving the message and intention that the leader wants to deliver to the public or to the world. Therefore, special methods and skills are needed so that the translated version can truly represent what the original speech wants to convey.
Now, let me discuss the second part of our journal, which is about translating political speech. This section explains why translating political speeches is challenging and what makes them different from other types of text. First, let's talk about characteristics and challenges in translating political speeches. According to the journal, political speeches have unique features that makes them different from other texts. For example, in Indonesia, political speeches often begin with religious greetings from various religions like Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. They may also include pantun, which is a traditional Indonesian poetic form usually found at the closing part. These features create challenges for translators because they need to understand the socio-political context of both languages. They must be aware of political traditions and customs in different countries. They have to deal with terms from various fields like history, culture, and religion all in one speech. The journal emphasizes that translators must have not only linguistic skills but also general knowledge and specific knowledge related to the political context. Now, what is the role of political speeches? According to the journal, political speeches are commonly used by politicians, such as presidents, vice presidents, ministers, or governors, to communicate their messages, policies, and views to the public. Characteristics like defines a political speech as a coherent stream of spoken language usually prepared for delivery by a speaker to audience for a purpose on a political occasion. The journal also mentioned that speeches can serve different purposes. Persuasion, to convince the audience, giving instruction to direct the public, setting the agenda. Presidents use speeches to signal their policy preferences, striking an emotional chord, connecting with the audience emotionally. In Indonesia, these speeches must be delivered in Bahasa Indonesia by law. However, when delivered at international events or international audiences, they need to be translated mostly into English. This brings us to an interesting concept mentioned in the journal. Neumark, 1996, states that translation of political language is an abstraction of an abstraction. What does this mean? Well, Political language itself is already abstract. Politicians often use indirect language metaphors or rhetorical devices, so when we translate political language, we're translating something that's already not straightforward. This makes the translation process even more complex. For example, in President Jokowi's speech, he used the metaphor of a ship and sailing. Kita akan kembangkan layar yang kuat. We will unfurl a strong sail. The translator had to preserve this metaphorical meaning while making it understandable in English. Finally, and this is crucial, the importance of maintaining the original context and style. The journal argues that when translating political speeches, translators face a difficult task. They must convey messages accurately from source to target language, maintain the degree of formality and high register of language, preserve the author's style, a speech should still reflect who delivered it, retain social-cultural elements like religious phrases and rhetorical devices, do all of this sometimes under time constraints. The journal gives an example. Indonesian political speeches often contain rhetorical devices like repetition in President Jokowi's speech. He repeated the word kerja or work 3 times, bekerja, bekerja, dan bekerja, work, work, and work. The translator preserved this repetition in English because it carries special meaning and emphasis. According to the journal, if the translator changed the sentence structure or removed such features, the message might still be conveyed, but the distinct characteristic and special intentions of the speech would be lost. So, as we can see, translating political speeches is not just about changing words from one language to another. It requires careful consideration of cultural context, political traditions, and stylistic features. This is why choosing the right translation method is so important, which leads us to the methodology sections that Iska will explain. Thank you.
Next is methodology. The first one is research type, qualitative with conceptual comparative methods. This study applies a qualitative approach using conceptual comparative methods. The analysis compares the source text or ST and the target text or TT to understand the translator's decision-making process in conveying meaning from the original speech to the translated versions. Number 2 is data source. Official translation of President Joko Widodo's inauguration speech. Okay, the data source consists of the official English translation of President Joko Widodo's inauguration speech. This research is a case study focusing on a single speech containing 62 sentences selected for analysis. Next is analysis based on the translation method framework. The analysis is conducted using the translation method framework to examine the strategies employed by Robin Follick, a professional translator from Australia with extensive experience in translating political speeches for international audience. The analysis aims to identify how the translator delivers political message effectively in the target language. Next is Newmark in 1988, data collection techniques, random selection of sentences for analysis of translation techniques. The data were collected by selecting several sentences randomly for examinations. This procedure allows identifications of the translation techniques applied in various sections of the speech include the introduction, body, and closing. The last one is Newmark's 8 translation method. The analytical framework referred to Newmark's in 1988 8 translation method which provide the basis for evaluating the translator's choices. This includes word for word, literal, faithful, semantic, adaptation, free, idiomatic, and the last is communicative translations.
And next is analysis and discussion. In the analysis and discussion section, the researcher focuses on how the translator rendered President Joko Widodo's inaugural speech from Indonesian into English. The analysis is based on 62 sentences taken from the speech, and the researcher identified the translation methods used by comparing the source text and the target text. The first one, mind finding. The study found that two translation methods were used: semantic translation and communicative translation. Semantic translation is the dominant one, covering about 85% of the entire speech, while communicative translation accounts for around 15%. This shows that the translator mostly choose the preserved and the original structure, style, and meaning of the Indonesian text. And then semantic translation. Semantic translation is primarily applied in the body section of the speech. The body contains important political message, rhetorical devices, and metaphors. Because these elements carry strong meaning and identify, the translator keeps them as close as possible to the original Indonesian text. For example, first one, repetition. The Indonesian repetition of bekerja, bekerja, bekerja is rendered as to work, work, and work. This maintains the emphasis and persuasive tone. Second one, parallel structure. For example, kita akan, repeated in Indonesian, is translated into we will, preserving rhythm and insistence. And then metaphor. For example, kita akan mengembangkan layar yang kuat becomes we will unfurl a strong sail. The metaphor is kept literal to retain the imagery and symbolic meaning. This method helps maintain not only message but also the distinct style of Indonesian political speech. And then communicative translation. In contrast, communicative translation is used mainly in the opening and closing parts of speech. This section contains greeting, formal salutations, and acknowledgement, which needs to sound natural and easily understood by international audience. For example, like yang saya hormati becomes the honorable, and then hadirin yang saya muliakan becomes distinguished audience. This translation do not follow the Indonesian structure directly, but they convey the same communicative function, which is to show respect to the audience. And conclusion, the translator used both methods according to the needs of each part of the speech. Semantic translation is used to preserve accuracy, style, and cultural elements, especially in the body of the speech. Meanwhile, communicative translation is used to ensure clarity and naturalness in the opening and closing sections. This balance shows that translating political speeches require both fidelity to the original text and awareness to the target audience.
Okay, I'm here to explain about cinematic translating method. First, definition. translating text while preserving the original form and style, focusing on meaning and aesthetic value. Okay. Second usage, suitable for formal text like speeches, and purpose to maintain the authenticity and deeper meaning of the source text.
Communicative translation method in greetings or salutations in political speeches in Indonesia. The communicative translation method is used so that the message conveyed is easy to understand and effective. This method was chosen for several reasons as follows. First, definition emphasizes messages that are easy to understand and effective. This method makes the translation clear so that the audience immediately understands the meaning. For example, the greetings like Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh are still used in the English version so that the religious meaning remains. Second, used at the opening and closing of a speech. This section needs a communicative style so that the audience is interested and feels appreciated. For example, yang saya hormati, para pimpinan dan seluruh anggota MPR is translated as honorable parliamentary leaders and members of parliament. Third, facilitates direct and persuasive message delivery. The translation is adjusted so that the message feels direct and on target. For example, saudara-saudara sebangsa dan setanah air became my fellow Indonesians to better touch the audience identity. The last one, fourth, reason for choosing. Increases attractiveness and relatability. This style makes listeners feel the message personally. For example, hadirin yang saya muliakan becomes distinguished audience to give the impression of respect.
Okay, let's move in discussion. The study finds that semantic translation is mainly used to translate the main body of Indonesian political speeches, while communicative translation is applied to the opening and closing part. Semantic translation is preferred because it preserves important cultural elements such as religion, breathing, and culture-bound terms, which are the key feature of Indonesian political speeches. These elements are often kept there in original form and explained through footnotes. Indonesian political speeches also have unique characteristics, such as opening with religion greeting, including poetic element, and not always following verbatim rhetorical structure. Therefore, translation and must maintain their culture and structural feature while conveying the message accurately. Overall, semantic translation is considered a more suitable method in maintaining the authentic of Indonesian political speeches. In conclusion, the study showed that in translating President Joko Widodo's inaugural address, the translator predominantly used semantic translation, while communicative translation is applied to the opening and closing section. Semantic translation is considered the most effective because it preserves the message, sentence structure, repetition, religion greeting, and other cultural elements that characteristic Indonesian political speeches. In this method, also help maintain the unique feature of Indonesian speeches which differ from political speeches in English-speaking countries. Meanwhile, communicative translation is suitable for greeting and salutation part. Although this research focused on only political speeches, the finding may be applicable to other political speeches as well. Further study, especially at the micro level, and are needs to gain deeper insight to the detailed elements of political speeches translation.
That's all from our group. Thank you for your attention.